What do you think President on inflation has? Do you think inflation is a political liability?
That's a great asset. More inflation. What a stupid son of a bitch.
That was the President of the United States calling Fox News reporter Peter Ducey a stupid son of a bitch on a hot mic. Yes, this was a very simple moment. It led to chuckles, as you heard from David there, and many others across the country as this just blew up. But it led to celebration, condemnation, accusations of Nazism. That's what happened. But before we get to that ridiculous level of it, let's actually, if you think about it, everyone remember this. This isn't Joe Biden's only hot mic moment. We know Joe Biden's one of those guys who ends up gaffing here and there. But this specifically reminds me of this other moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States of America, Barack Obama.
Obama's like, yeah, sure, thanks, Joe, yeah, please, oh my God. Now, if this is also the first time you think someone's ever called Peter Ducey stupid or dumb, you're wrong. This also happened.
Has your relationship with the president raised to the point that you are not going to support anything that he comes to you and asks?
Why would you say something that stupid? Why would you ask something that dumb? Huh?
Is this like a well-known, unknown, but well-known fact when it comes to DC circles, David? Because I mean, you're a little more connected than I am, I think, when it comes to this part.
Well, the fact of the matter is, yeah, look, the fact of the matter is Peter Ducey has long been described as somebody who's not, he's not a member of Mensa. He's not a genius type. His questions sometimes seem awfully loaded in a very stupid way. There are lots of ways that he could have said to John McCain, hey, I know that you've had problems with the president in the past. Does this mean you're not gonna support him on certain issues? That's fine, but to say, oh, are you gonna never support him? That's dumb. For him to say, well, look, in inflation, and is inflation of course inflation is a problem. He could have said to Biden, what's your view of how inflation plays for you politically? That would be more interesting than the question that he phrased. And so I think Biden was right to say, you're a dumb son of a bitch.
Well, there's this other part of it. It wasn't a press conference. Now, I know this happens all the time, but it was actually a photo op with his cabinet members. They can make pictures and look good. And at the back end, of course, there's the media for the photo op, and they're getting shoved out, so he has a few questions. I don't think many reporters expect an answer to those questions, and when they do get one, they're like, oh man, because then it'll trigger the other reporters to think, let me get my question in. So it was a bit of a normal moment that just turned into what Biden made it into, which we can all see has happened before. Now, by the way, there's more to this. There's a lot more to this because Peter Ducey did make the rounds on his network throughout the evening to discuss exactly what happened. And they joked about it. Peter went on the 5 and he was talking with Jesse Waters and they had this exchange.
Somebody came up to me in the briefing room a few minutes later and said, did you hear what the president said? And I said, no, what? They said, he called you a stupid SOB. And I said, did he say SOB? And the person said, no.
So, Ducey, I think the president's right. You are a stupid SOB.
Yeah, nobody has fact checked him yet and said it's not true.
No one's given Pinocchios for that one.
I suppose a little bit of surprise credit. I could understand if anyone to be offended by this, maybe it would have been Peter Ducey. I mean, there's a little bit of a twinge in your chest when the president, when you're doing your job, even if your job in that particular moment is to get a certain kind of pointed response, you get that. You can go on the air and joke about it, even call yourself a stupid SOB every once in a while. He also went on Handy's show later on that night to talk about the fact that Biden did call him and kind of apologize, but not really. Watch this.
Within about an hour of that exchange, he called my cell phone and he said, it's nothing personal, pal. And we went back and forth and we were talking about just kind of moving forward.
Did he apologize?
He cleared the air and I appreciated it. We had a nice call.
That's not an answer. Did he apologize? That doesn't sound like an apology.
He said it's nothing personal, pal. And I told him that I appreciated him reaching out. Hey, John, The world is on the brink of like World War III right now
I get
with
it.
all this stuff going on. I appreciate that the president took a couple minutes out, but you know what? I don't need anybody to apologize to me. He can call me whatever he wants.
More credit to Peter Ducey. What do you know? I'm gonna be honest. I can't say I would have been this open and happy about it outside of all these other moments. Not that I'd be running around on the network angry and talking about how much of a piece of garbage Joe Biden is, but he embraced it a certain way. And I think outside of comment sections in a bunch of discussion forums where people are angry at each other just for the sake of being angry, it's kind of like a passing, funny, humorous story. Am I right?
Absolutely, and the fact is, look, I mean, Peter Ducey showed again that he's not the brightest bulb to say, oh, we're on the brink of World War III. No, we are not. There's just a conflict between Russia and Ukraine. But the fact of the matter is, even though Peter Ducey is arguably dumb, and I would say he's dumb, he's also a nice guy. He's affable, he's likable. And this is probably the best thing that could have happened for him in conservative media, because for a not so bright guy who's just sort of likable and kind of earnest to now be perhaps the most famous White House correspondent conservatives have ever had, that's great for him. Good for Joe Biden for not really apologizing, but saying, hey, this isn't personal. I think this is a win-win for both of them.
Actually, even some people are thinking that Joe Biden kind of did that on purpose. I think over at CNN, they said Joe Biden knew what he was doing here. I don't know, and maybe it does pull him. People said this is gonna be the biggest positive moment for Biden. His numbers are gonna come up. Those are all, I think, said a little bit jokingly. But I mean, maybe this was a move, or you can be like, I need to have a little bit of a back and forth, and they both benefit from it.
Yeah, I mean, authenticity helps them both. Peter Ducey authentic in terms of being gracious about it. Joe Biden was authentic in using the SOB bomb on a hot mic. And I think Americans want more authenticity from their politicians, from the media figures. And so again, I mean, it seems like we'll move on. But this was a fun story.
We would move on, except we did have a prominent journalist did point out something that I don't think anyone else was really saying about this. Let's go. After all this, again, Ducey's joking about it, Handy's joking about it. Here's Glenn Greenwald on Twitter. Grave attack on press freedom. This is what the Nazis did, incited hatred against those who challenged them. Lugenpress, solidarity with Peter Ducey. It's a dangerous time to tell the truth in America. I hope all press freedom groups and other outlets will condemn this attack. He was not done there. He went on to say, Peter Ducey is doing his job as a journalist, holding powerful politicians, political officials accountable, asking the tough questions. For that, he's demeaned and verbally assaulted by the most powerful politician in the country in public, possibly inciting violence by his followers. If you can't find the irony dripping in those statements about violence from supporters based off of the words and rhetoric of a president of the United States, when we're talking about investigating the January 6th, they don't like calling it insurrection, attempted insurrection on January 6th. Now they're denying that none of it meant much of anything, and they were just celebrating. They were going into the Capitol to take some tours, but you can openly say that this is Nazism, and it's like Lugenpress because a president said, "Son of a bitch."
Right, and what I hate so much about that is for all of us who had lost family members, entire branches of my family to the Nazi regime during the Holocaust. What it does is when Glenn Greenwald says this, it diminishes the historical significance of just how evil the Nazis really were. And so anytime he makes that sort of reference, it's deplorable. Here's the other part about it. Was Glenn Greenwald so outspoken when there was, I don't know, the last president of the United States calling the press the enemy of the people and literally inciting violence against journalists? I mean, if he was just as outspoken against Donald Trump, then okay, fine. Except for the Nazi comment, you can say whatever you want. But for Glenn Greenwald, this seems like just another opportunity for Glenn Greenwald to insert himself in such absurd fashion as it underscores just how ridiculous Glenn Greenwald has become.
Yeah, the talking about things in quick bites to get some money online these days. It's just it's what it's almost forced people to do, and then it doesn't really almost matter what they say as long as they say something that's gonna get some attention. So that was that.